Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to your Tuesday edition of Second Breakfast. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. Got a busy week ahead. Knocked out some minis off my table. I posted a bunch of pictures of them last night on my Discord, so hopefully you guys will check those out. Tell me what you think. Let me know what I can do better. Um, if you click on the image and blow it up, you can actually see them pretty well, uh, on at least on my tablets and devices like that. I worked pretty hard on them, but to be honest, uh, I got them done pretty quickly. I mean, there's a few little things. That's a great thing about being able to enlarge a photo. You can enlarge it much more than your typical magnifying lenses can. And so I saw a few little things I need to touch up and fix, but I'm going to keep using that going forward so that I can go over them and see, hey, it's like, hey, missed this little thing, or made this little mistake here, or you didn't put any paint over here. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean you shouldn't paint it, at least with one layer of paint, because you never know. The material may benefit from the actual layer of paint to preserve the integrity of the model itself. I am currently getting ready to receive a shipment of. Oh, excuse me, my eyes are watering today. It's really dry. And what's up, Bo? I'm getting ready to. What's news? What's news you can use? I'm getting some four armed Martians from Bronze Age Miniatures. Turned out that I assembled three of them and I primered them, and that was it. And so I'm gonna have like 10 of them on my table that are gonna be just desperately screaming out, "Paint me!" So I probably will get to that. However, I really need to have a place to put them when I'm done, and just uh, not just on a shelf. Yeah, I paint as far as the brush will reach. Well, yeah, if you can't reach it, you can't paint it. Although I learned a lesson with some really small uh, bits from the Archon Studios stretch goals. There's all these little candles and skulls. Uh, all right, Bo, rest well, and maybe you'll see you later today or tomorrow. Those little skulls and candles and like mining axes and pickaxes and things like that. I'm just leaving them on the sprue. I might paint them on the sprue, but I'm definitely not going to clip them all off and try to find a home for them, because I just ended up with a bag of little tiny things that, when I want one, I got to go dig through them. Uh, yeah, I don't use an airbrush yet. I'm working on it, but for the next 5 months, it's pointless because it's so hot and dry out here. I, it just doesn't work out well. The paint dries up in the airbrush so quick. Um, which is I got to wait at least until September, October before I think about that. Even with the rattle can, I sometimes get that sandy effect, which I found can be mitigate with some rubbing alcohol, and just you can kind of scrub that sand right off and still end up with a nice thin coat of primer. I can always primer and base coat up into the crevices, but brushwork, yeah. Um, like I said, I deal with a lot of lead and tin and pewter and things like that, and at least with the primer, every millimeter has got to be coated, because if you don't, that's where the rot can seep in and start to deteriorate the mini. And I've seen that firsthand, and it's not just nasty, but it can also be quite toxic. And if you get it, in an open cut or a wound, or breathe it in, or in your eyes or something, you can you can literally poison yourself. Yeah, is that what they call it? I just call it sanding. It's just it just looks like it's coated in sand. And I did that with I tried to clean one miniature, a 3D print from Reaper that I don't 3D print Reaper. If you're gonna go to that, I will never buy anything but metal, um, which I really shouldn't anyways because I prefer that. But this female warrior came out like that, so I dropped her in some rubbing alcohol, and I forgot, and I came out, and it was all rubbery. And while that was okay, and the sword came out okay, I'm probably gonna have to put it in boiling water and see what happens if I can straighten it. But the shield got it kind of went back into its regular shape, but it was not looking good. Definitely looked like an old trash can lid. Um, but I learned a new trick. If that sanding thing happens, I can just take a paintbrush with some rubbing alcohol and keep dipping it in and just rubbing it on there. Kind of gently. But if you've got like a stiff brush, that actually works better. Unless you've got all day and nothing better to do, a nice stiff brush and some rubbing alcohol, and you can brush that sand off. You will be uh, very pleasantly surprised because I know what's in your box. Yeah, yeah, I do. And you are going to be very, very happy. I would be because I love everything you're getting in the mail. So there's that. Yeah, and keep up, the commute lines of communication, Bo. You can only benefit from it. And I mean, back in the day, we did not have the luxury or the blessings of being able to speak with our favorite game designers, like and get a response, in less than 24 hours. We had to write a letter with a self-addressed stamped envelope and wait, 4 to 6 weeks for delivery and that kind of shit. Oh my God, I don't know how people did it. And now we can, go on anybody's blog post or website or whatever and send a message. And with Discord, it's even faster. You know, we can, reach out and communicate with these people. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, we get a response. There's a few folks out there. I'm still waiting to hear back from freaking RPG Pundit. I'm like, dude, I had some questions, then I ordered a second box of stuff. The cards are neat, but I don't know how much use you'll get out of them right away. They're really a in person kind of thing, but they might be very very good for you and local stores. That would be a fantastic thing. Go to your local store and drop those down on the table, and maybe start up a game, or if you ever get your kids to play, you know. The younger ones, you can start with those cards and make things really simple. And rest assured, I'm certain there's going to be like more. You do have the phone number for emergencies. I'm not sure which phone number, but that's cool. I know you have my phone number. Um, a fat lot good that'll do. I don't know shit. Um, but I do know that I have got a stack of reading on my desk, my other desk. Not really a desk. It's a card. Okay, it's a card that I need to read. I got OG GM's Vigilantes for Shadow Dark. I've got to read. I've got to read the new Blood and Dust from Red Room. I've got the Dungeon Dwellers 4 pack, 4 hardcover freaking books that weigh whatever 14 kilos is, um, kilograms, whatever. Um, I'm guessing it's like 30 pounds of books. Freaking heavy as shit. And then I've got to finish the Flash Gordon Volume 1, maybe get on to Volume 2 through 6. I've got to finish reading all 4 books for the Gothic Horror Vampire Wars skirmish game, which I'm really digging. Although it's apparent with movement rates of like up to 18 inches and shit that I need a relatively large table to play that game. I was kind of hoping that it was a, maybe a 4x4 kind of thing, but no, it looks like it's more like a 4x8 kind of battlefield skirmish game, which really makes it more of a war game, in my opinion. Maybe, I mean, we'll see. I've got a bunch of great new figs for that game. I got my Sherlock Holmes, I got my Watson, I've got a couple of vampire hunters, a crap ton of vampires. What's up, Mike? Saw your comment this morning. I didn't know I was doing what I did when I did it, but I did it. So there, it's done. But yeah, that's what this channel's always been about, Mike, is keeping the hobby alive and keeping people, either at the table or you too, Bo. I'll see you soon. And maybe when you wake up, you have a nice package to open up, and maybe you'll make an unboxing video, because those always seem to be entertaining. I don't know why. To this day, I mean, we got our very first video was an unboxing video, and for the life of me, I don't know why people watch other people open up freaking stuff. Um, I mean, I like doing it; it's fun, sharing, the experience. But all it does is make me jealous. Like, I want that. I want to open that. I want one of those. Right? But maybe it's the next best thing to be in there. I don't know. It's just the world's a funny place. And hey, what's up, James? Evening all. What are you even doing awake, dude? Uh, after I talked to you, I tried falling asleep, and I was like, I freaking couldn't fall asleep for freaking. I must have stayed up till like 1 o'clock or some shit, watching old '80s videos. What's up, off grid? Hey there. How are my reprobate friends this afternoon? I'm stuck waiting for the honey truck to show up. Ugh. I'm sorry to hear that. Why do they call it that? It's like, no. I mean, I know they want to kind of, church it up, and they don't want to call it the shit wagon. But we're thinking, we're talking about the same thing, right? Where, empties your septic tank and carts all that stuff off to doing some 2 a.m. laundry. So James, I was up, and I started, because I we were passing back music videos, from the '80s, and just great old shit. I came across a band that I hadn't thought about in years. I mean, like freaking a good 25 or more years. Band I used to kind of like a lot when I was, my edgier, edgelordy self. Back when I never wore makeup or anything like that, but when I wore more black, if that was possible, and was more edgy, if that was possible. An old band called Lords of the New Church. Remember those guys? Freaking bunch of weird mother. Anyways, I liked a lot of their tunes, and I remember the old "Rub It In." Oh my god! Hey, Shadow, texting from the beach chair here in the Bahamas. You lucky, lucky man. And it's not like a one time thing, right? You do this every freaking year. I'm going to the Bahamas. It's not like what everybody says, I'm going to retire to the Bahamas, or, it's like one of the number one go to places. And here we got Bloodwork freaking checking out the Shadow and Sun show. Uh, uh, I appreciate it, man. I hope you are enjoying the hell out of your vacation. You don't get sunburnt, and you have one for me. Yes, I was edgy. I was edgy. Dude, this hair used to be black. Instead of it turning white, it turned blonde for some reason, and it was longer. If you can imagine that. No beard though. I didn't start growing a beard till I was in my mid 30s. I'm cornery or corny. You are corny. I didn't get to see the live stream. I'm going to, um, and I sorry I couldn't hang out, but I had a game with off grid and Cal and Omen, and of course our good friend Armstrong, who made a very very interesting prop, you know, squirt gun, for the Super Soaker Challenge. I was expecting something completely different from him, but he really came up with something interesting. Still happy with your Reaper order despite the resin. I honestly think we all need to write and video or whatever and get Reaper to knock that shit off. I'll pay more money for metal. You know what I mean? If I have to. I don't because I can go elsewhere, but I will not pay full price for 3D printed crap from Reaper. It was bad enough they tried to screw us over with the white bones garbage that isn't even. It's so crappy. I don't even want to throw it in the trash because it'll end up in a landfill and contaminate. I want to like melt it down into something like just like a brick of something, and then throw it in the ocean or put it on the next shuttle to the freaking moon. Uh, Dave and George seem to enjoy being on. They're always happy to be in front of a camera and talk about Arduin. I hope you guys talked about Arduin till the cows came home. But yeah, I'm kind of done with unless I know I can't find it anywhere. Have you seen the new Monolith Conan Kickstarter? The Tower of the Elephant figure is insane. I'm still trying to get the original figs from them. They're you can't get them right now, and um, that's kind of a drag because it was such a cheap price, like $100 or something for 300 minis. And I'm not the only one. Our good friend Grim to See, he's also looking for the same box set of the Conan minis, and yeah, and before you even do that, James, uh, instead of buying from Reaper directly, I would one send them an email like I didn't know I was paying for 3D print. Not going to do it again. I'll just go to eBay and look for other sellers because there are sellers out there selling good, solid Reaper metals for you know up to 35-55% off because they're just trying to get rid of old stock and they don't care because they've already made their profits and made their money elsewhere. So they're if you can get a metal mini like something simple like if that's all it is, right? It's still on the kind of sprue. It's a French made with a duster and something else. Um, $5 or less. Um, that's a steal. They usually sell them for 6, 8, even more for a single figure. I've seen maybe less. I haven't been on their site. Yeah, some of the metals are cheaper. If you go to Star Schlock, their minis are like $5 a piece. You got to buy them in 3 to 5, 4 or 5 packs, but that's just the way they come. They're not. It's not worth their packaging material cost to put just one mini in there. Maybe for the bigger things they might do that, but their Star Schlock sci-fi minis are fantastic. Bronze Age minis, about $6 a piece, maybe a little more, sometimes a lot less for like the multi packs. Which 4th of July figure did you get? Wants $20 per metal direct. Is that including shipping? Holy crap! I backed the OG monolith years ago. I've kept them in their natural gray state. Oh, when you got that many, they got all the old material out of their old melting pot, so no waste. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that for Emperor's Choice. I was going to have to freaking send them something to make sure that did not cease production because they've got a ton of stuff on the way, a ton of stuff. Those guys too, also selling their miniatures dirt freaking cheap. I mean, some of the things on their website, I need to put the MCHO logo up and the link somewhere more permanent in my Discord and on my YouTube videos. Um, they've got some fabulous new minis that I need to paint. I didn't even pull the stuff out of the Kickstarter from last year, the Portal Kickstarter. I left them in the box, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to order some of those just so I can keep that stuff intact and I can paint the the Doom Guard and those weird wormy looking dudes and some of the other stuff. James, that's crazy. $20 a mini. The new 40K starter is $400 here. No one will buy it. There's there's like the only thing I could see buying right now in the way of 40K stuff would be Necromunda, and I've got everything for the old Necromunda, which was fantastic. So why would I buy anything except the old minis, which are far better, all metal. I mean, there were some plastic, the Orlocks and the Goliaths from the original box set. I got all those. The other gangers, I've got a complete Escher gang, a complete Van Sar gang. I've got most of the Spyries, all the Adeptes, Arbites, and um, I think those were the only gangs I really was interested in. My best friend backed the OG Monolith Kickstarter with the top tier. He hasn't painted a single mini, and he's been hinting at that he wants me to have them all. That's a hell of a friend. But I know what that's like. Up there, you can see, not just my bald spot, fuckers, um, the Zombicide Undead or Alive Kickstarter, which is like 400 cowboys and monsters. I only opened one box, looked around, went, I'll get to it one of these days. And there they still sit. I've got the majority of the Siege of the Citadel Kickstarter, which is another 100 plus minis, only a few painted. And I'm worried that they're going to be just like the Hero Quest minis because I think the paint is not going to stick without some serious alchemy. Yeah, I've got some Orlocks. I've got the Goliath. I've even got some of the monsters. What I really want to get though, even though I could just make up my own Scavy gang, I want to get the Scavies, the zombies, because they had this really cool zombie master, and I like the idea of having like against a gang having like overwhelming numbers, a bunch of uh, just lots of just mindless, guys. But I also wanted the rat skins, even though I'm not like really big on the whole Native American theme. Not nothing against them. It's just it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. But down in the freaking dumps, down in the underhive, those guys would excel like crazy, being able to sneak and do a lot of that other stuff. I thought that was very, very interesting and a neat little way to, do a little history with, um, your sci-fi. You get these Indians, but they're the Indians of the the underhive, and they could be uh, if they're using bows and arrows and stuff. That means their weapons are cheaper and easier to get a hold of, and you know so I need you all to tell me the best process to start painting metal minis. Haven't tried it yet. Okay. Well, you clean them. You make sure you get rid of all those mold lines with a file. Don't try using a knife because you'll cut yourself and you'll make mistakes and you'll make nicks into the metal. And if you take a little tiny file, a half round, this is tiny, tiny, tiny half round. This is a gunsmithing file, but you can get sets of files at Harbor Freight for like less than $10, and you get them all. And the only one you'll ever need is the half round, maybe the triangular one or the rat tail for drilling holes. But you can still do that with this, the half round, because you can get in the like those mold lines that are a curve, like an elbow or a crook or something, and you can get in there with the file to get the mold line out because they will show up and they become very obvious when you start painting them. Then get yourself, a good place to paint. Get yourself a good can, a rattled can primer. A lot of people will say like Vallejo, excuse me, or Army Painter or Games Workshop primer. I'm not paying $20 for a can of primer when I can get 3 cans elsewhere, and just be very, very careful. Light, psh, 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 24 inches away from your mini. Light, super the lightest coat of primer you can possibly imagine. And then, and depending on what you want the mini to look like, you got black, white, and gray for reasons. Um, Maybe I'll do a video for you. But if you're taking notes, if you want the mini to look dark like this, you primer it black. If you want the mini to look nice and bright and cheery like Sleeping Beauty here, you primer it white. If you want it somewhere in the middle, you primer it gray. And then you're going to uh, dry brush, which we call zenithal highlighting for this step. If it's black, you're going to want to primer it, dry brush it gray. The whole model, just as much as you feel necessary, because you're then going to go and hit it with white or off white or maybe ivory or even beige, depending on what color scheme you're going to go with. And if it's white, you probably won't do any zenithal because you'll do everything else with inks and washes. And once you've done the black and then the gray and then the white on your darker miniatures, believe me, it'll still come out really, really, really dark. Uh, there's a million videos on zenithal highlighting. Here, I'll write it in here just so you don't. Zenthal. I don't know what kind of learner you are, but look that up. Save some videos. Vince Venturnella is one of the best out there. My favorite, of course, is Sam Lenz. Um, but they'll teach you everything you know, and get you on the right track. Depending, because it really depends on what kind of look you want for your mini. If you want it to be bright and cheery, like a hero or a fairy or even like a red dragon, I would go, with a white primer. If it's middle of the road or kind of grungy, you go with gray, and then you know what have you. And if you want it really really dark, then you go with black, and um, you might even skip the white part of the zenithal and just dry brush it gray, and then start painting your colors. If you want something like this guy right here, this troll, I primered him black and then gray because I want him to be dark and terrifying. Same with this beholder. It was black, gray, and then ivory to get him. But I still got a lot of work to do on him. And the main eye, oh my god, the main eye is always the hardest freaking thing to do on a beholder. However, where is he? I got this guy right here. You see his eye? I didn't do that. That's what was that was like. I primered him black, dry brushed him gray, and then I dry brushed white over that, and that just came out like that. And I'm like, I'm done, right? It's not perfect or proper, but it's kind of got that sort of like a cataracty look to it. And funny thing is, I bought this guy not knowing exactly what he was going to look like, but I already had this one in my collection, and I was just waiting because I need a flight stand, but I didn't know what it was or who made it, and I thought it was like super super rare, maybe like uh, a dragon tooth or something like that mini, and it turns out it was a Kenzer and Company Hackmaster miniature, and so now I've got two, so I'm going to make like bookends where this guy is green and purple. I'm going to make this guy purple and green. So I'll have like matching, arguing beholders in some dungeon somewhere. Um, Pro tip from a Golden Demon winning friend of mine: use a mid brown as a base coat on organics, fleshy, furry minis. You can do that depending on, again, what. Uh, I would still go. I would still go black, then brown instead of black then gray. If I was going to do like a Wookiee or something like that, because you're still going to want that unless you got like a really really dark brown, because you're going to be like tempted to throw a bunch of washes to get in there, and instead if you just black and then zenith dry brush and brown, from that point on you're just doing more highlights of the fur. Uh, Red Dragons, just what I think of when I hear bright and cheerful. Maybe it's too many years of DMing. I love the bad guys. Don't we all? That's I think that's a common trait we all have. Uh, they're simply misunderstood. Shut. Get out of here with that. Um, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a little kid, before I was in kindergarten, when I was like 2 or 3, or something like that, maybe. I had the first thing I started drawing when I was, with my crayons, literally crayons and any notebook I could find. I mean, I know I was barely out of diapers. I can actually remember some things when I walked around in diapers. Um, my mom was like always like, "Why are you always drawing monsters?" Like, because I'm gonna grow up, mom, to be a monster master. I'm gonna be throwing monsters at people left and right, and I'm gonna do that every day. Yeah, I've never used gesso, um, and it sounds like an added expense, but I'm willing to give it a try. Um, but when it comes to, like, it's weird. I never have that sandy effect with black primer. I can primer any time of year as long as I make sure that can is warm. Instead of doing the warm water thing, I'll just keep my cans in the house, and I can keep them near like the registers, we call them, as the vents where the heat comes out from our heater. And we've only got our heater set to 60 or something like that, like 65 maybe, during the winter, and I'll just keep it near there for a couple hours before I'm going to go outside and primer. And I'll take my can of primer, shake it up inside, run outside where the minis are all laid out in my garage, and then do the one side of them, and then I'll bring the can in, drop it down, let them dry out there, uh, an hour or whatever it takes, and then go back, do the same thing, and keep just bringing my can back in and out. But I never have that gross sand like effect. Sometimes I get like a glossy effect from a flat can of paint. It's supposed to be flat instead of satin or gloss. But that's no big deal because I'm just gonna paint over the whole damn thing anyways. And if it's a little shiny in those little dark crevices, shiny black versus matte black, nobody's really gonna notice. Black gesso is cheap and goes on thick, but shrinks and dries hard and matte to pick up the next layer. Needs a full 24 hours though. Yeah, sometimes I don't have that kind of patience, man. You're asking a lot of this guy. I mean, who knows how long I've got, right? Forever. But when it comes to painting and primering, not so much. I need to I need to go back to these Wizard of Oz figs. Uh, I sort of abandoned them for a week. The Scarecrow's looking pretty good. I like him. The Wicked Witch, though, there's just something wrong with her green thigh that's sticking out from her boots. It's like it's either too shiny or I need to get something in there to sort of mark off the edges where the boots and the cloak meet there. But otherwise, I really like the overall color scheme instead of just pure black for the Wicked Witch. And this Cowardly Lion fig, I know I'm going to get a lot of uses out of because lion men. I mean, who doesn't want to do that sort of old trope? The, the flying monkeys. I only got one, but I kind of want like 12 of them. Oh, you posted your squirt gun. Awesome. There's a place specifically. Oh, no, just put it in. Take care, off good. We'll see you later. Just put the squirt gun in the painting and crafting section right under the pictures I just posted of all the things I painted. The Tin Man, looking more and more like Necron ish, but I'm okay with that. And then I still to this day can't remember what color Toto is. And they really, they really should have put Toto on the same base as Dorothy She's got her freaking Desert Eagle there or some shit. Maybe it's a Glock. I don't know. But they should have put her and Toto on the same base because this tiny little, I now I feel like I need to mount it to a Reaper miniature base, which is a waste. Maybe I can fit the two of them on a base. There's a thought. Maybe if I clip Dorothy's base or Toto's base, you know what? I think I can. I think I can manage it. And get them on the same base because there's no. I mean, unless you're literally running a freaking Wizard of Oz game and someone's playing Dorothy, you don't need Toto on its own separate miniature base. Historicals aren't crowded with details, so it's breezy. I can see that. I was looking at some more of those 54 and 90 millimeter, like maquettes or whatever they're called, the larger figures. They're just for painting. You're primarying right now. Nice. Uh, uh, I found another company that makes a lot of like historicals and cowboys and regular folk, along with some not safe for work stuff, of course. But it looks like a lot of them are already painted, and I'm like, who the hell wants a pre-painted freaking, you know, Napoleon or a freaking cowboy or a police officer or whatever already painted? It's like, what? And at like $75, I'm like, yeah, no, if you got that for like about half that in tin, unpainted, maybe, absolutely. But pre-painted, I'm not collecting Hummels or teacups. I'm I don't know. Maybe there's folks out there that have rows of shelves of pre-painted figures, um, which is just showing people, you like to throw away your money. Are you primering your squirt gun, your Super Soaker? And I do have some early metal Necrons. I also have Raul Partha made these things called Necrovores for their Space Knights line of minis, which was a fucking awesome line of minis. Imagine Cavaliers and Paladins in the 24th century, and instead of um, robot horses, they had freaking like crotch rocket jet bikes with lances, and their bladed weapons were also kind of like in Krull, also laser weapons. And then they had the Necrovores and the Scions as the bad guys. Mind you, they were only 25-ish millimeter scale, but oh my god, they are really, really a nice set of minis. And I have them all with one blister pack exception, some extras, and a bunch of open ones. One of these days I'll get to because they weren't lead, so I kind of have a little more time. DM'd another pick something I showed Dave and George. Okay, I can't check them out during the show because sometimes that risks uh, me leaving the stream in a way I don't like to. Well, I have to redo your sci-fi gun. Well, you have got 14 and a half hours. Plenty of time. Search by 135 and 132, and there are cheaper options. Okay. I don't know exactly what that scale is in millimeters, but I'm shooting for, I think it's 54 millimeters and up. I kind of want to do the bigger ones. Like I got this, where did I put it? I got this Deja Thoris, and it turns out it's an FDM print. And from a distance, it looks decent. Up close, not really safe for work, but you can see every freaking line and feel every. I'm not going to try and sand every square millimeter of this freaking thing, and I only keep it as a bad example. I was going to toss it in the trash. I'm like, no, I need to keep that and remind folks every once in a while that uh, just no, I'm not doing terrain. I'll get in FDM, but I will not buy anything but resin when it comes to the larger figures if I'm going to paint them. And even then, there are a lot of companies. Phoenix models. There's some really nice stuff from Superior Models back in the day, but those are pewter, and as pure pewter, they're better not painted. and they retain their value, which some of them go for over $100. Everything done by Ray Lamb back in the '70s and '80s, and maybe even into the '90s. He did some stuff. I don't know when he passed, but he did some amazing work. I've got an original John Carter, Deja Thoris, Conan, Frodo. Some of the big fantasy characters, but I've also got like Chief Sitting Bull, Custer, Billy the Kid, um, things like that he did as well. I think Thor and Odin and Sif and this necromancer chick and some really good old timey, like because they're from '79, '80, figures that if you were to put on a display case or whatever, uh, they're really classy as opposed to some of the more eh, stuff I see out there, a little bit too in your face what's going on, as opposed to a like a candid pose, or a not a pose, but like a like a snapshot of a person doing something instead of like doing something, if you know what I mean. Well, essentially 54 millimeter, but opens up the plastic options. Companies like ICM, Tamiya, Syntoys, and Taleri, good 54 millimeter ish, but that you could even game with, but diorama kits too. Yeah, I mean, one of these days we're going to be playing Cowboys and Indians with Cowboys and Indians and our Alamo play set. I think between the Gesso and Army paint your dip, I may be able to get the Hero Quest plastics to hold paint better. What's up, Steven? 135, 132 is also in the ballpark of BMC Marks. Okay, yeah. What's that company? I got to find that video. This guy had this Amazonian playset with conquistadors and Amazons and a sacrificial table and a dude doing the thing and just all kinds of cool scenery and everything. But it was this like brown and tan plastic from somewhere far away, maybe even a long time ago. Um, but they made other kits as well, obviously. But they're really high detail, high quality, but like 54 millimeter scale, play sets. They weren't really, it was kind of like the Alamo. Or I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I mentioned the Mount Navarone Fortress playset. That big old 3 foot tall mountain. Um, and he just lost his mind because he's like he hadn't thought of that in forever, and didn't know anybody that remembered that. And I'm like, dude, uh, I remember all that crazy crap. I had the Alamo, I had Navarone, I had something else when it came to those kind of crazy army men sets, and again, those things, got me here to painting miniatures. If I would have known back then that I could, paint up my Cowboys and Indians. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can find him on one of my devices here. Because he did another video I saw where okay, you guys know what Tic Tac are, the candy, right? And then they come in a little plastic box. Well, he turned one of those plastic boxes and one of these tea lights into a fantastic little neon sign. Like for like you're walking in a mall and they got those little signs just standing up in the middle of nowhere where they change the poster every once in a while. Kind of not really neon, but that kind of a display or advertisement. And he made this great little thing in like 10 minutes. I mean, obviously, cut some time out, but in like a 10-minute video, made these really cool little displays. And if you take the right label off a package, the way he showed how to do, you could make like a 7 Up sign or whatever. Even make your own. Um, but let's see if I can find that guy for you, James, because he makes some really good stuff, and he's got a lot of videos in his library. of crafts that he's done. Okay, I'm already there. Playlists, liked videos. It's going to go back a couple of days, so bear with me, James. But I'll see if I can find it. A lot of music videos last night, dude. But he did some speeder bikes out of Hot Wheel motorcycles that were freaking really good. He did the snow cannons on Hoth out of like Yoplait yogurt containers and lids from like prescription bottles, and I'm like, you could bang those out quick. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, like just a crap ton of those easy, super easy for not just a Hoth battle set. He also used them for some other, like he put foresty terrain like Endor or something, but he put more you know little bits of foliage around it, so you could use them in other locations instead of just for Hoth. Because I mean, I'm sure the company that makes those freaking cannon towers are probably all over the galaxy, and you got a lava planet, here you go. You got a freaking swamp planet, well, maybe not here, but you got a forest world or a desert world or whatever. Okay, I don't know why. I wonder how far back this actually goes. I mean, it's not that guy. I think I might have passed it, or just not saved it. How could I not? I mean, I like everything I watch before I completely watch it. That way, you know, always have it uh, in my record here, which you would think it would be here because I watched a bunch of his videos, but maybe it was so far back that I'm gonna be. Okay, another 30 seconds before I bore the shit out of you guys, right? Okay, just not finding it. Okay, I'm just gonna have to do a search. Uh, but the guy does great work, and here we go. Doc shows you how. Was the first one. Should have just done the search, right? So look up Doc. One word shows you how, and he has got some. And then of course you're gonna have to go through and check out which craft you want to take a look at. I'll send you some examples. I have some heaps of AWI stuff, some U.S. cavalry engines, World War II. Still love Army men. Still buy them. It's before a billion '80s tracks. I had the Normandy beach set, something like that. Might be the one I'm thinking of, or it might have been. I want to say it was like an island, like the storming of Iwo Jima. BMC Marks still do a pretty tasty Normandy landing. Do the church at Saint Marie. Played 10. Warforged Druid riding a saber-toothed tiger for the win. Those landing craft can be. Oh, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that back when I think it was Black Library, or there was this magazine that came out. It was like kind of a thick carded cover magazine from Armorcast or whoever did the Titan, the big giant Titan models. And they had this magazine with all kinds of Warhammer 40K stuff content, and I got it in my head that I was going to, and I did for the most part. I didn't go all the way. Um, that's what she said. And I made some 40K like Rhino esque landing craft, beach landing, so I made them all out of cardboard. I got this huge stack of like glossy backer boards for comic books, and they were all just slightly damaged. So I just kept the card, and I created landing craft with gangplanks that would come down so that the Space Marines could disembark and storm the beach, but also made some other 40K stuff like hovercraft and things like that, so I could have the full like storming the beach kind of scenarios with a particular army of Space Marines. And the last thing I was going to do was I was going to take a bunch of Space Marines and cut them at just the right angle, so like they're coming up out of the water, cut off their legs and put them on bases with little textured paint that I'd learned how to use to make sort of like a water foamy effect, like the waves are lapping up as they're like trudging up out of the water, and give them like scuba uh, nozzles, or not nozzles, but hoses to their backpack. But I never did that because the models were even then kind of expensive. But I had this whole thing in my head where, the Marines were going to storm the beach of some Orc island or an Eldar outpost or something. Would have been great, but I think I moved shortly thereafter. And when I finally got to the new location, all the cardboard crap had been crushed, and I didn't have anybody else to game with at the time. So it would have been fun. Warforged and the Golem type creatures were amongst the best Eberron denizens, in your opinion. I never got into Eberron. For whatever reason. I think it was the time of my life where I kind of thought the steampunk aesthetic, like the dress and the style, was just a little too fruity to be walking around in modern society. I mean, if you're at a convention, that's one thing, or you're at an event like a Renaissance fair or something like that, fine. But like walking around every day like that was just just too fruity for me to just tolerate. And here, not here in Palmdale, but um, in Orange County and stuff, there was enough of that where you didn't see at least one guy walking around with a lacy frilly shirt and some sort of riding crop and the whole bit. It's just like, dude, keep that to the gaming table. Come on, you're making the rest of us look bad. Okay, just no. And so for a while, I was kind of like anti steampunk, and then as I got older, I found some things about it that I did like, where you could have that. Hey, what's up, Mike? You could have that uh, technology, but you didn't have to have that sort of dress code.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm repriming my gun. I used an old can of paint and it just speckly, and then some of it just runny. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought today Jen is way ahead. She did her homework.
Oh, all
She was
right.
good this
We're gonna have a
week.
little competition here.
Yeah.
Did you see Armstrong's video?
Is it the one with the kind of organic gun?
Yeah, the
Where it's,
pedal with the pedal leaves.
yes, yeah.
That was pretty ingenious, right? That's like
He's pretty
very
creative. I'm
unique.
like, yeah, well, I'll just throw my hat
I
in
mean,
there. And,
hey, you know what? The more people that do these little challenges, the more we can get. You know, just do something together. And it's a lot of fun. And I mean, Armstrong's is really good, but George's is kind of got. There's some things to be said about what George did as well. I'm going to save them because I don't want to say too much. I mean, you saw mine. It's as basic bitch as I can do. The only unique factor is the clear plastic that
yeah.
lights up. If I put the thing in it. Otherwise, I didn't do anything. I
Well,
added a freaking lighter at the end, and a little toy scope and a little dial. That's it. I mean, I got lucky with the original, um, you know, piece, as it were. Um, but that's just to show you how simple this kind of thing could be. And then with the next couple of crafts, you know, and if somebody thinks up like an idea, like, hey, let's do a this or that, absolutely bring it to the group. Like if you think of hey, let's do a house or a boat or whatever. Let's make a flying machine from such and such. With junk.
Yeah.
We repurpose things like the spaceship. I mean, I don't know anybody out there who doesn't love Toblerone. Okay, I mean, you got to be a really hard ass to not like it. But then to take that box and not see there's something we could do with that besides just toss it in a bin. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And the wife got me the big 6-pack of these, so I saved all of them and the box it came in because I'm like, there's something I don't know what yet. I don't know what yet, but there's
It,
something.
it
You know what I
I was
mean?
gonna say it was kind of funny because my daughter ordered some furniture for her room, right? And it was kind of funny because I find this pile of stuff. I was like, oh, it's all the internal box pieces and foam. They're like, oh, you thought of me for once instead of just
Just be careful. Last couple months ago when I redid the garage, I threw. You know how in California we get the big bins, right? The big trash cans.
I get a fairly average one, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you could put a person in it, right?
Yeah.
Or two if you bent them the right way. Maybe even three. Yeah, okay. Anyways,
You gotta chop
ours
them
are
up
pretty,
then.
they're pretty big. Okay, I emptied 5 of them full of everything you're just talking about. All that stuff. I'm like, I've been saving boxes and boxes and boxes of styrofoam, sheets of styrofoam, all that cool brown orky looking terrain. That just looks like
Yeah.
like six.
The-
Oh god, that stuff is gorgeous. It is so perfect. Right out of the box, you just throw it on the table. That's an orc village. Okay.
That and all the little plastic doodads, caps, lids. I have like boxes of those that I was just some's gonna have to go.
Well, what you got it with here's the first trick is to organize it so it doesn't look like garbage. It doesn't feel like garbage. If you organize, like, this is all caps, this is all stir sticks, this is etc. Right? Put all your wooden bits in another thing, and to where you can get to them kind of easy. All your lights, or if you organize it first, and then every so often go through and, like, okay, those big lids off the orange juice, the big green lids, the really cool
Mhm.
looking ones that make great freaking sci-fi wheels and other stuff. Okay, after you've got like 8 or 12 of them, you don't need any more, right?
I
You
mean,
got to make something with 4 of them before they're worth hanging
that
on
that
to.
is that is a good philosophy. Use a little
You
so
know,
you can keep a little. Yeah.
right? We took 4 of those things and made a really cool ATV out of just a container, turned it upside down, slapped some wheels on it, some windows, a bubble dome, and boom, it looks freaking. It looks very usable. Makes it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like it came out of a model kit. But if it looks like what you want it to look like, you made something. And like this thing, when I'm done with this, it's going to look like a spaceship from any distance. And it'll be like, well, do you really want to throw out the spaceship? Maybe it's, the lids from the super glue or the empty Toblerone box you might have thrown away. But now that you put them all together and you made something, it's like, well, do you really want to throw that ship away? I mean, because I could really, literally remake this. I know all the pieces, right? They're all basic things except this thing. I don't know what this is, but you get my point. I could remake
And,
this. So if you do have to throw it away, you have that sort of recipe up in your head, so you could remake the thing.
yeah. And what I was gonna say as we were hitting the dollar store, because at first I didn't think Jen would want to do it. She's like, a gun. It's like then we're at there, and she's like, just starts loading the cart with random crap. And I'm like, all right. But it does get you to think outside the box of how I can put this and this, and it. I was like, it's
And
not like
they,
it's not like you're gonna do much with it afterwards, except for maybe just hold on to it and go, look what I made. But
Well, no, actually,
well,
with this super soaker, I'm trying to find a way to mount it on the wall, not permanently. We'll make like a get like a plaque, put a couple of hooks in it, so I can just throw a couple of screws somewhere in the garage and hang it on the wall, and it'll look everybody like, what's that? That's not a real gun. No. Well, yeah, it's from the future. I'm a time traveler, and every once in a while I'm going to need my T-38 pulse
well,
rifle. So in case the Terminators come, I've got it.
yeah.
No, it's something we made, and it's a conversation piece, as they used to call it.
Plus, you mentioned your son makes little movies and such, so he'd probably get some use out of it, maybe.
Oh, and we've got boxes of props and toy guns that we've kept and weapons and stuff for years. I mean, he's 18. We've kept them for upwards of 15 years of some of those things because you never know when he's going to say, "Dad, I needed this." Well, can't use a real one, but we got a plastic one in the box. Let's go find it. Oh, it's all beat up. Well, you got to get to work. Take it to the workshop. Break out the hot glue gun, some sandpaper, some paint and exactly, squirrel. If you can make something that looks table ready, if it's a hill, a castle, a bridge, whatever, and then find a way to store it safely so it doesn't break, but so it's out of sight. Label the box so you know what's in it, and one of these days, be like, hey, what do we do with that such and such? Just the other day, we were looking for a piece of terrain. We couldn't find it, unfortunately. Um, because I didn't label the boxes quite well enough. But I mean, we've made some things like. Did you ever see the sea serpent we made out of paper?
I think you brought it out and showed it one time. Maybe
This
on
was
Discord or
years
whatever.
ago. We made this because I got inspired by DM Scotty's Purple Worm video, which
Yeah,
we
yeah.
made, and it
I've
was
seen that.
freaking awesome. I mean, it's better in every way than every modeled Purple Worm because you made it from a simple template of cardstock, hot glue gun, toothpicks, and it looks freaking. You put that
Yeah,
on the table, and everybody goes, "Oh shit!" And it looks. It's the scale. I mean, back in the day, they made purple worm miniatures. And I kid you not.
yeah.
For
They
this,
were just
totally, completely. That thing ain't swallowing me. I'm a hobbit, and it will choke on me. They were tiny. But you throw that thing on the table and it looks like freaking an arm, with teeth. It's like, okay, now I'm scared. I'm running because that thing, if it just falls dead on me, I'm dead too. But we made this sea serpent with the same idea. We did every individual scale is an individual piece glued on, and it's not just the sea serpent coming out of the water. No, 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 no. We made the loops like Nessie. We made like the headpiece, two loops, and then a tail sticking out. So it's four pieces. Okay, and it took us over a month, individually gluing and cutting and painting, and it turned out pretty damn good. If someone were to sculpt and then 3D print something like that, you'd be looking at like a $250
no,
easy
easy.
model. Uh, and it just took us some spare time, some paper, some glue, and a hot glue gun, and some googly eyes that we got from Wylock's Beholder video. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I
That
have.
is, you made one?
I made a beholder that has the middle eyes, the googly eye. I don't know where I put it.
Because that would be a good, a fun, easy challenge for everybody to do one of those beholders. Because who doesn't need another beholder, right?
Players that are encountering them, maybe they don't need
Right, right,
another
right.
one.
But I mean, I was thinking about it, and there's a lot of ways you can actually throw some of your own uniqueness and your own sense of humor or style to a beholder mini, right? Okay, think about it. Like I've got my purple and green and my green and purple, right? Well, there's other colors that you could easily make a beholder that's like orange and yellow.
My beholder that I did craft is orange.
Okay,
I'll find that.
uh, I could see somebody like somebody's daughter. Let's say so and so's got a 12-year-old daughter. She wants to make a beholder, but she wants to make him pink and blue. And if your daughter did that and sat there and did all the work and made that beholder, you would happily and proudly put that on your desk at work where everybody could walk by and go, "What the hell is that?" "Well, my daughter made it." And you'd just be beaming because, right? You
Yeah,
could make a beholder that had, its eye stalks were maybe doing weird things, maybe wrapped up so like it's like brushing its teeth with one eye stalk. You could do, make funny poses or whatever. Everybody could have their own sort of take on making a beholder, and you in seeing the finished project, you'd be able to go, yeah, okay, I get it. That's your sense of humor. There's a little originality and style to it. What's up, Swords and Stones? Welcome to the show. Um, Posted the favorite monsters short earlier this morning. I saw that flail snail. That is, like I said, a deep cut. That's I would never guess in a million years that that was on anybody's top 10, just because it's so odd. But at the same time, that's you, Squirrel. Uh, you're odd. You're unique, and you don't go down the you know the same beaten path as everybody else. The whole road less traveled. Yeah, fluorescent yellow and pink for sure. Uh, don't even get me started on fluorescent colors. Oh my God, there's so many of our craft projects used and relied on fluorescent neon paints, bringing out the black light bulb and showing off that cool effect. When Jackie was a little kid, he just, like me when I was a stoner, could not get enough of that whole neon effect. That just like, how is that doing that? That reaction, that sort of literal like glow, uh, being how's that happening? How do you get this plus this and you end up with this weird effect? Mind blowing. So I mean, every once in a while, if we pull out a miniature, we'll check and like, oh yeah, it's got neon paint on it. All right, cool. Like a lot of the dragons that we did over there now, um, or in boxes. But all the Archon dragons, like
hmm
9 out of 10 of them have some neon color on them. So if you put them under a black light, you'll be like, "Oh no way, he's glowing!" Yeah. Or we used actual glow in the dark paint too. That's a lot of fun too. Because that way, like if you've got your shelf of things, and then you turn off the light as you leave the room and you look back, it's like, ah, you're glowing. I can see it. Just funny
I've never
little
messed with glow in the dark paint, but long ago we did play D&D in a basement with lots of glow in the dark posters.
things. I think it's mostly a California thing.
Oh, this was
But
when I was a teen for a little bit, and I lived in Minnesota.
oh, really? Okay,
That's
I
my
was
mom,
curious,
that's where my mom's from. So we were living up there was a couple years, and yeah, a little town. Got the whole fun of
dude.
Satanic Panic.
Yellow with black polka dots, itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka
That'd be
dot bikini.
trippy.
I actually had um, this album back in kindergarten. I think it was kindergarten, between kindergarten and like fourth grade. That had the Monster Mash. It had that song. Had the Little Blue Man.
Yep.
It had a uh, one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater, and a couple other weird songs from like that kind of sort of bubblegum kind of music. Uh, that's funny that you bring that up because I haven't thought of that. I used to play that stupid record incessantly, and then I brought it to school once, and everybody thought and knew I was the weirdo because I brought this album with all these weird songs, that nobody had ever heard of. Even the teachers, like, what the hell is this? Is this like who made? Oh, this is all old, stuff from the like
Well,
40s and stuff. Oh,
a lot
you
of that
had
was
that one
played
too.
on the
It was
radio
like
at Halloween time too. So I don't know
and
why
it was
people
like a
don't
Halloween record because it had Monster Mash on it and Purple People Eater, but it had some other songs that had nothing to do with spooky or scary, like Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini, which is actually kind of risque for its time. Yeah, it was like a green monstery looking colored album. Wish I could find that. I would frame it and just put it on the wall because I had a lot of fun memories listening to those stupid songs that led me to. Uh, okay, so we're about the same age then. Uh, uh, Led me to Doctor Demento and Weird Al, you know, which I still miss Doctor D, but I also still listen to Weird Al from time to time. Coming back from church, when we're taking turns, listen like on our way home from church because it's like a 20-minute drive. We'll take turns picking a song, and one in six of those songs ends up being something by Weird Al. If we're in that kind of mood, after church, sometimes it's a little more somber or serious, or there's a new song that we want to share with each other. It's like, hey, check this one out. Like, although I've shared a couple of songs lately that Jackie was not too thrilled with. I knew
Yeah,
that new song by Tom McDonald. Not a fan.
I haven't heard any of his newer stuff.
It was right before the 4th of July.
I,
Didn't the guy also do Alvin and the Chipmunks? Could be. I really never got super into them except at Christmas, because there'd be Christmas Chipmunk songs. Um, but uh, I'm not sure what you're laughing at. But we also listened to this guy named Jonathan Colton. He did "All I Want to Do Is Eat Your Brains" and the song for the Portal game, "Still Alive," I think it is, about eating cake and stuff. Um, the cake's not cake.
don't remember.
But either way, we discovered him back in the day. Uh,
I just remember the Dr. Demento, the boot to the head sketch. I think that's one of the earliest ones I ever heard on that program.
I remember hearing
And then
"My Bologna" the first time. I literally heard it the first time it was played. I remember that
all the
fish heads,
classics.
uh, dead puppies. But does anybody remember "Something's in the Bag"? That song was creepy. I still remember that to this day. Barnes and Barnes were just out of control. Um, and one of my favorites was "Existential Blues" and "Moose Turd Pie."
I probably remember it if I heard it.
Uh-huh.
If we listen to all that kind of stuff. Uh, that makes me want to like.
Still tell you
I'm
Christ.
pretty sure I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
remember that one, guys. I don't actually. Someone please send me the link to the boot to the head, because that sounds hysterical. Um,
Yeah, see that's the one. That's the first one that I heard on that show. I didn't
yeah,
even know it was a Doctor Demento show.
puppies. It's just we could laugh at that stuff, uh, and there was just one of these days I'm going to have to pick up, like, because I know there's a collection of Dr. Demento stuff, songs, and stories or jokes or laugh tracks or whatever you want to call them, out there because one of my favorite Christmas gifts of all time. I couldn't have. I don't know what year it was. I couldn't have been much more than maybe 10 years old, and my dad got me one of Steve Martin's first albums. Um, and because he and I, used to watch Saturday Night Live late at night together, um, and Steve Martin was just one of my favorites. Uh, and one year, my grandparents were visiting, and we'd open up Christmas presents, and I got that record, and I'm like, instead of wanting to play with all the toys, I took that record onto my little freaking player, little tiny boxy record player. Uh, and went in the room, and my brother was out doing other stuff, and I'm sitting there playing it, and while Steve Martin wasn't like you know known for swearing incessantly, he would drop an f bomb every once in a while, and my grandparents are in the other room, and they could kind of pretty much hear what I'm listening to, right? And he says, Steve, how did you get to be so fucking funny? And that was it. Like, no, turn that off. Like, mom's yelling, what did you get him that crap for? I was like, well, because he's that fucking funny. It's fucking Steve Martin. Jesus Christ. Get a grip, woman. So from that point on, it
Yeah.
was like the any kind of humor that I could get a hold of. This
That,
is the
that,
boot to the head that I remember. Yeah, I don't remember it, but we watched a lot of Saturday Night Live together, and I some good memories. A lot of people uh, I know do not like SNL, but the first 4 or 5 years there was nothing like it on TV.
yeah. Kind of like the what is it? The more classic cast, and then well,
It
now
went downhill. It clearly went downhill after, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Lorraine Newman, Gilda Radner, that other guy, John Belushi. When John passed away, that was kind of the beginning of the end of that era, I think.
yeah. It's mostly been, I mean, there's been a few, like, well, I don't know, now it's like 10, 15 years ago where there's been a few sketches that catch on that are kind of funny, but I can't watch the whole show.
Oh no, no, no! I haven't watched SNL since like David Spade and Chris Rock and Chris Farley, and those are like some of the last comedians that I what was his Dana Carvey and Mike Myers. After that is like the too much of the message kept creeping in, and not to mention I was doing other stuff, on a
Well, it's
Saturday night.
a Saturday night, even if you're even if you're gonna be a homebody, it's like
Yeah,
there's other
I'm gonna
things to
do
do.
something else, watch a movie, or maybe I'm playing a game or reading a book or playing a video
Yeah,
game. Um,
that was
which
game night forever, and usually
oh
Saturday
yeah,
night. So it's
oh
like
yeah, 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 yeah. As soon as oh yeah, probably I guess like the mid '90s was the last time I might have caught an SNL, and well into playing Palladium every day for a decade. We played this one campaign or another, depending on who showed up, and sometimes some people were in both campaigns. Uh, a couple of 10 and 15 year long campaigns, and there was no watching the TV. Even during the day, um, if I had any spare time, I might have been playing an old like Sega Master System game. Remember any of those? Uh,
very few. Um, I don't even know. I had a 16-bit Sega,
the
and then
Saturn.
no, didn't have a Saturn.
So it was the original six.
Yeah, the cartridge.
Yeah, that the master. It was called the Master Sega Master System, I believe is what it was called. Had Might and Magic for that one. A game called Spellcaster. This girl was talking about playing games on hard mode. This game was there. There was only impossible mode, and this was back in the day where you could call up Sega and they had a hint line, and you could talk to a live person who would have to go through the book. I could hear them flipping
Was,
through the
was, it,
manual.
was it a pay to get an answer type
I
thing? Or?
don't think so, and if it was, I didn't care because it wasn't my phone bill. Um, that was terrible. But I would call them up for this game called Spellcaster, where you're like it was like a kung fu game, right? martial arts kind of thing. But you had these like spells you could cast, and as you got different items, like the sword of branches, which is a stupid thing. It was like a sword, but it was like a branch but bladed. It was like dumb. It was so dumb. But it was one of the end magic items you had to get to learn this superpower fire whippy thing. And I finally, I must have called the Sega helpline 100 different times to make it through this stupid freaking cave. And me and my buddy Rich we were playing it, many hours a day, trying to beat it because it became like uh, just this stubbornness thing where we had to beat this stupid freaking game, you know. That we just had to beat it. And then I came across this little game called Fantasy Star.
No.
Oh, it was you played this girl Alice and her cat Meow, and you'd meet Odin and Noah along the way, and adventure through three different planets, trying to defeat the Dark Lord that, of course, was your father when you find out at the end. Um, but the dungeons where you move the direction button one and it clicks you one square ahead. So you could graph paper map it, and it was isometric, perfect. All the dungeons looked kind of the same, but they would change the neon colors of them and the music and uh, the strobing kind of effects of the torchlight, and some looked
Can I tell you what
metal.
level or danger or what?
Well, it depended on which dungeon you were in, because sometimes you'd get teleported, and it would, there would be things to help kind of subliminally help you map the dungeon. And there were multiple dungeons in this game, but there was no strategy guide yet. Those things didn't exist. You could call the helpline, but they couldn't tell you, how to get through a dungeon because, like, where are you? Okay, you're at the front entrance. It's a 16 level dungeon. Get fucked. They're not going to sit
Get
there.
good, kid. Get good,
And,
kid. Like,
Yeah, right. And we played this game with 3 to 4 people. One guy at the controller, one guy at the little book. It was their job to go through the book, which was like 12 pages, to see if there was any clue, in there, because there was a couple of pages of clues, but not really. But so it gave somebody something to do. Another person was the mapper, and the other person was the roller and or the drink pourer or whatever. Sometimes both. And we would spend hours and hours after work trying to get through that game. And the dungeons were so much fun. For I don't know, maybe they put like you know something in the screen, something addictive, or keep playing or something. But
play more
between
Fantasy
music
Star. Play more Fantasy Star.
between the music and the colors. I mean, like literally, like when you went into, I think there was like an ice dungeon or something. You kind of almost felt cold playing through this dungeon. It was really weird. The colors and everything was just, it was a really fun little game. And then Fantasy Star went on to make many 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 sequels to it. Um, they were all pretty okay. Some uh, went to different modes of like dungeon. One was an overhead.
Did you play Fantasy Star Online?
Oh hell yeah!
I did
Oh yeah.
not play it, but at the time I worked at a video game store that sold that thing, and that it was like that, and like had a stack of guides that people would come in and buy because
Well, for a while with, I think it
that
was
was
Fantasy Star. I think it was PSO Online 2, maybe even 1, because that was for the Dreamcast. I think.
yeah,
Um,
I think so. Yeah.
there was a time where you could find items and then trade them to people,
I remember people talking about it. Yeah.
and they were literally selling them on eBay, like these S tier weapons. You could literally make money, and I saw it all the time because I would check eBay every once in a while to see, what's going on, what's up with that. I keep hearing about that, and I'm like, this guy's selling this S tier weapon for 65.99 or whatever, and people would freaking buy them because time is money, and you could sit and grind in a dungeon for days and not find a single S tier weapon. But then somebody else did, or they would sell their accounts after they got tired of the
Yeah.
game and just make a new character, new account, etc. And that uh, both versions of it eventually, I think, went to PlayStation after Sega went belly up, and you can I have them all. You can still play them offline, and they're a lot of fun. Um, and I right before I retired, I bought like a bunch of video games for just that purpose. Like, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna have all the video game time I want. I've got Grand Theft Auto, like one, whatever, not the not the Game Boy version, but everything for PlayStation 2 or 3 or whatever. All the strategy guides, Hitman 1, 2, and 3, and some other games with big, thick ass strategy guides. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to I got a bookshelf downstairs of strategy guides, and I got a drawer full of video games, and I have not had the desire to play them in years. I'm like, after the Elder Scrolls Online nonsense. I played that game for like 2 years, and I started falling asleep in my chair like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd wake up and my controller's like vibrating because my character had died because I'd walked into a something off a cliff or whatever.
Yeah, Diablo. Yeah, Diablo was an addictive game too.
I played a lot of that one too.
I liked it
Um,
because it, would generate the dungeon differently each time. So I mean,
I just picked up like Diablo 2, I want to say, a while ago, one where you could go into the desert and other places. And I beat it, and it was a lot of fun. But I didn't have any desire to go play it again like I thought I would. It's like, oh, this game will be fun. Multiplayer, Jack didn't want to play. He was doing other stuff or playing other games. And this was only a couple of years ago, mind you. Um, but the pay to play thing with Elder Scrolls, where if you missed your monthly subscription payment, you couldn't access all the stuff that you'd opened up because you paid.
so it was kind of like it let you play, but then it would hold things back if you didn't keep up the.
Everything you found as a perk of being able to go into these new areas, you could no longer go into. The items that you had found legally fair and square in those areas could not use or access. I'm like,
Your subscription to your Vopal sword has been.
literally, dude,
Like,
literally. That's freaking hysterical. And I was like, well, that's
yes.
kind of bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I earned it fair and square. I paid for the ability to find the thing. I should get to keep the thing, And I had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of fun in that game, and I pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, I played EverQuest when it was out, and then somebody wanted to play it, and I sold them my account. I think just $20 because I was like, I don't have time to play this. And then I dabbled with other ones, and then
Well,
all my boys got it liked Warcraft, the real time strategy game.
mhm.
So of course we played WoW online forever.
Well, see, like if you've got like a group of friends online,
That's what keeps you in the game more than what the sometimes the game is doing.
right? Because without that, like, because I was playing this one game where I had a guild and I had some friends, in the guild. But as time grew, went on, people would fall off to stop playing, go move on to different games, not so much as
Yeah.
a buy or leave. And like, well, without the other players, this is, even being able to, put the headset on and listen to other people and like, hey, what's happening? Want to be my friend? Yeah, I ain't doing any of that crap. That's pathetic. I got real friends in the real world that are like, what do you? Oh, you're going to play that game again tonight? Why don't you hang out with us? Which is what we were saying to our friend, not me, because by that point I stopped playing. But we had this friend who was playing DC Universe, I think it was, when that thing came out,
Yeah.
and he put in like tens of thousands of dollars into this game, right? I mean, he was the number one player for like a long ass time. And one day he got in the mail as a thank you for all the hard cash that he had thrown into this game to make his characters the super duperiest characters of all time. A poster. I just
Yeah, I
laughed
don't.
hard.
If I play those games, I don't usually buy. If they have a cash shop, I don't engage.
No, 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 no.
I
I already
paid
paid to buy the
paid the
game.
month.
Uh,
Yeah,
Take care, Swords and Stones. We'll see you maybe tomorrow. Yeah, that's why I was talking to somebody about physical media. Physical media is king. I was talking to OGGM. PDFs are cool, but at some point in the near future, any PDF you can point a finger at is going to disappear, die, get erased, get corrupted, etc. A book can only burn or get water damaged or get eaten by insects or rot over time.
yeah.
Okay, rotting over time, that's fine. I can live with that. Given any kind of warning, I can go and get another copy of said book. Until they, make books illegal.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
and I've had PDFs on like an old hard drive that got messed up and
can't do
lost
anything
them.
about it,
No.
and uh, you can't give them to anybody. A lot of cases you can't share them. Right, right. I mean, legally or morally or whatever you want to call it, you're not supposed to in some cases, but people do.
As long as they
But
promise to delete them at some point, don't print them out. But I like PDFs only as a backup, really,
right,
so they're easy to take.
and at the table, they may for some people,
Yeah, or to just
you
print
know,
out one page that you need. But
but when it comes to like music or movies,
yeah, no.
you gotta have it. If you don't have it, you
Well,
don't have it. You
like
know,
Amazon, it's like $10 for the same movie that used to. I don't even think Walmart carries them anymore. But you could go to Walmart and get the movie for like $5 sometimes.
uh-huh.
Because
Or you can go eBay or whatever. I
yeah,
buy all my DVDs off eBay and CDs because I can find stuff you can't find anywhere else. You can find it on eBay. I mean, literally movies uh, from decades ago, you know, on DVD. Someone's
you
done it.
can't find them streaming anywhere.
No, and if you do, you got to pay to rent it. You're kidding me, right? I mean, I've literally done that. Like, I was looking for like things that you would think that would just be free on every streaming service, like Kolchak the Night Stalker, Barney Miller. Okay, it's like it's like the old. How much does it cost? How much do you have? Okay, it's like if you search for something, suddenly there's a price on it, but if you just happen to scroll past it, it's free. You know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
like I was talking about something, I forget what it was. I mentioned it one time in a conversation. I come back to one of my devices, and there it was on the top of my feed. I didn't even mention it online. I just mentioned it in the house, and lo and behold, there it is. Hey, you wanted to watch this? Well, here it is. We kind of guessed, and lo and behold,
Yeah,
here it is.
you know that that figure DM James is showing off that he got made of his
Yeah.
of him. Now I looked up that site one time, right, just to see, and now all of a sudden, every time I watch something on a streaming service, that a commercial for that keeps popping up
Hmm. Hmm.
to the point, Jen's like, "What's that? That looks pretty." I was like, "They're gonna get you."
I did the same thing with Old World Foods. 2 Christmases ago, I got one of those sausage and cheese sets, and it was Old World, and it came with this little jar of Bavarian mustard. I'm like, that's some good ass mustard. I want to get me some more of that. I got my magnifying glass out because the label was so tiny I couldn't really read the label. It's like, Old World Foods. I went to their website. I bought a 6 pack of Bavarian mustard. It lasted me over a year. I am still every day barraged with at least 2 to 3 emails saying, "Hey, would you like some more Bavarian mustard or any one of our other like 12 products?" I mean, I kid you not, they've got like 12 products. That's it. Most of them are like pickled beets and different kinds of mustard, and it's like, how are you in business? You know, I mean, is this like a Russian company that's just offloading their shit here? To weirdos like me who might want a Bavarian mustard every once in a while. Even then, I got like kind of burnt out on it after like the fifth jar. It's still good, and I'll still get more. But a year and a half, almost 2 years later, I'm still getting ads, and I still get commercials for it. It was like as soon as I made the first order, I'm getting commercials. Like
It's like I've already
there's
bought
a
it.
there's a 1 in 6 chance any commercial I get is for Old World Foods, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
you bastards! I almost don't want to. I like want to like buy like 12 cases of Bavarian mustard, enough to last me my lifetime, and then ban you and block you and do all things so I never hear from you again.
There's been a few times where I wanted something and I couldn't remember it, and then I'll get an ad for it, and I'm like, oh, so I was appreciative. But more often than not, it's just
I don't doubt that squirrel PDFs. I used to carry in my backpack because I used to do a lot of traveling. I had my CD player, and I had about 48 CDs I carried with me. A lot of best ofs and greatest hits things because it was for travel. I couldn't carry around all 12 of their albums when I could only carry 48 that would fit in the case, that would fit in the backpack. So I had to like buy things for travel listening purposes versus a lot of movie soundtracks and stuff like that, so I can get the most out of my listening pleasure. And I did have an MP3 player for a while that had like 100 CDs on it, and I freaking love that thing. The wife had to pay somebody to take my CD collection and download it to this PDF, and it was like super like wafer thin little thing, and it lasted forever. But now I've got this phone that I can pretty much just search any freaking song on YouTube and find it. Um,
yeah, and throw it in a playlist.
mhm. And so that's kind of a pointless gadget, but you know, if the internet goes down, which has happened here, probably about less than 10 times the internet's gone out where we live in 15 years. But when it happens, everybody here loses their freaking mind. They can't watch TV. They can't watch YouTube. They can't. And I'm like, oh, guess what I can do? Click, you know, throw in
Yeah.
a CD at the very minimum,
What was
Uh,
it? A couple of weeks ago, there was an outage, and of course, it was like 6 hours, and it was late, but it was like my daughter was literally couldn't because couldn't watch anything, couldn't play. I was like, get a book, just get a book.
get a book, break out a board game, break out a deck of cards. Hey, let's make something to eat. Like it takes a while, but everybody can pitch in, and we'll do that. And you throw in a CD, or you take turns picking songs off, CDs, or whatever.
It did
Uh,
become board game night.
mhm.
So
We don't really do that. We should, but we don't here because
we should do it
Grandma
more
doesn't
because
speak
I
English.
bought and kickstarted a bunch of board games that have kind of just sat or played once and
Mhm,
put them
mhm.
back, and it's like
We might be able to play like Uno and teach Grandma that because
that is one that we played. I do Uno
well, she
drives
doesn't
me
speak
crazy.
English, so it's hard.
Yeah,
And she would just get pummeled because that game's cutthroat. That game is. I've had more belly laugh nights playing Uno than a lot of other games over the years. Just like, I mean, not come to fist fighting or anything like that, but just pissing people off because it gets funny to pick on somebody. Like after someone's lost like like with the big stack of cards at the end of the game. A couple of times it becomes funny for everybody else.
Yeah, when you
So,
have more cards that you can hold in one hand, you're just like, okay, I'm not gonna win, but
right. So it becomes funny to just like keep making them draw cards or just skipping them. That could be funny. Just keep skipping the player, reverse skip. Whatever it
hmm
takes. And it could be fun, but she just wouldn't be able to participate on any of those levels. So
yeah, she's
that's
probably
that's
probably a little bit older where she doesn't think it's funny to troll people over and over again. But skip, reverse, skip, just
yeah, especially if you can't actually read the understand the words on the cards. You know, yeah. But that dude, man, he created a great
well,
game, sold it out of the trunk of his car, and probably kicks himself every day. If he's
did
still
he just
alive.
sell it off, or does he still make
Yeah,
money?
he sold it literally out of the trunk of his car to
Well, I mean, does he still have any rights to it?
no.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he got like between like $10,000 and $100,000, and he sold like everything he had in his trunk, the rights, etc. Like at the trunk, you know, and then
oh.
20, 30, 40 years later, it's everywhere. I mean, I've seen you know 100 different variation decks, as well as like little tiny decks that are like this
Mhm.
big, that you can get at the dollar store, which is
Yeah, and, and
fucking
then
awesome.
and then you have the knockoff versions.
But Duo.
Yeah, just well, I mean, what is it? I've seen it's basically Uno, but it's just like off-brand, kind of like what do they call it? Something like something one or something. It's just
Oh, okay.
it's something that like it's Uno, but it's just some Chinese knockoff.
It's always the fucking Chinese, isn't it? I mean,
They're great
you
at
would think
innovating other people's stuff.
after a while they'd be kind of like embarrassed about their reputation, but no.
Mm,
And it's not like they lean into it; it's like they deny it. I mean, you would think at the very least it's like, yeah, we stole your shit. What are you gonna do about it? That I could respect. But like, no, no, we didn't. We don't steal nothing. Fuck you. They fucking own up to it.
yeah, at
You
least
know
what
it,
is
it,
it?
it
Like
right.
Russia
You
and
think
some of
that,
those other countries are less like, we don't really have copyright laws with you. We don't care.
yeah, it sucks to be you.
China's like,
We're gonna do what we want. What are you gonna do about it?
we have
You know,
copyright laws. We just don't. We're gonna ignore yours.
right? And there are there's some pretty cool ass Russian gaming things out there, like minis and model kits, and of course they got the dumbest, weirdest freaking scales that just don't match anything the rest of the world uses. It's like, guys, you make some really cool shit. Can you make something in 28 to 33 millimeter instead
Yeah,
of it's like
they're like a weird
57 and a half freaking millimeter?
38 millimeters. I've seen those. It's like the humans are about the size of an ogre. You're like, you
And
make
then the
so
vehicles
much.
don't work because they're too big. You feel like you're freaking big burly freaking human dude barbarian is like a child trying to climb up into this vehicle, you know, or the walls and stuff like that. But there's some, you know, Technolog I think is the company that I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
most of the really cool and one company, it might be a different name, had these really cool like Necromunda kind of terrain with catwalks and silos and gangplanks and all this shit. Really, really freaking cool shit. And I can't remember who it was, and I lost it. I
I
think
think I've seen it
James
on
Bell.
some video where they were showing like alternate to buying Warhammer, which
Mhm.
I don't see how anybody can afford that hobby and be right in the head. I mean, if you
Um, well, it's like this. if you uh, if it's like one of your only hobbies and one of your only vices, not a problem. Easily, if you were like full hardcore, like card carrying 40K, whatever kind of player, or you worked for the company, or, you've been in it for years and years and years and you don't really do any other gaming or, board gaming, war gaming kind of thing, and you're really good at it and you've got a regular group, sure. But there comes a point where, you know, you've got to look at the price compared to everything else.
Yeah.
In the hobby, every other war game, every other miniatures, every other kind of paint, every other kind of, situation, merchandise, the the tools, everything is more expensive because it's theirs and it's not necessarily better. If I can go out and buy a $4 pair of clippers that's lasted me, even though the spring broke. And I actually
Yeah.
saw a video on how to replace the spring using a safety pin. Have you seen that?
No, but
You see,
I know how to
you
fix
see,
it. Yeah, you can just the little thing that goes around there. Yeah.
you just clip off the connect the locking mechanism of a safety pin,
Mhm.
pull this shit out, heat it up, shove it in there, and you get your spring. But guess what? I've been using this for like 4 years with a broken spring. It still clips. So I got to use my own hand to pull it back
Well, I
apart.
mean,
You
did you
know,
buy the
I've got
Games Workshop clippers that are 20 some bucks or something?
I've got two pair, both broken
Uh,
springs. I'm not gonna throw them away. They're still sharp. They still work.
yeah.
But they cost me like $4. They didn't cost me like 14 or
Yeah.
40. Depending on what product. The overpriced bull crap. I don't. I'm not going to do that. Why? To keep them in business so they keep making stuff? I can go into my garage and pull out my Necromunda game that's, 30 years old or whatever it is, and play the shit out of that. And it's not a
Is that
broken
one that they
game.
don't make anymore?
Oh, the one I have, yes,
Necromunda.
but they did bring
I know, like,
Necromunda.
what is it? Mordheim? They don't make that, right?
Oh yeah, no, Mordheim they don't make.
Because
Man of War,
yeah, both both of those things, like, they were in the 90s. Both of those I started to like and get into, and then canceled. So I'm like,
Space Hulk. Every Space Hulk game ever came out canceled shortly thereafter. Just why they I would if it was a brand new game that I could still buy right now from the previous printing, and I would probably buy it brand new, just to be able to play that kind of a standalone game, or something that's not going to keep expanding or keep getting rewritten, you know.
yeah,
Um,
it's weird because that kind of a stock game would be like what you could fill shelves and stores with. Like
yeah,
it,
and not just game stores as we know them,
yeah,
but like the old school toy store kind of game store where they sold everybody's stuff, like Monopoly, Battleship, competing companies. It didn't matter. We used to have in the mall gamesmanship. Did you have those? You
no,
remember those?
no.
It was like a toy store, but it was like this high
Toy Biz
end.
was one, and of course Toys R Us.
Right.
Yeah.
You could walk in and grab it off the shelf, and it would always be there. You know.
Well, like even in the late '90s or early 2000s, you can get HeroScape. You get
Mhm.
that, but again, Games Workshop didn't make anything. They made that a few of those Mighty Empires and some others that would show up in regular
Ooh,
stores.
that's a game I always wanted to get and play because it was one game. That's it. I mean, if I want to spend like 350, I could get it, and probably pretty close to brand new, complete, blah blah blah. But that's a lot of money for an experience that probably isn't gonna net me, 10 hours of gameplay, because there's the painting and assembling of, or at least clipping of the pieces out, you know, is that gonna net me like 10 hours? And is $35 an hour of gameplay a fair expenditure of my time and money, or can we knock it to 20 hours at
Well,
15 and a half, 17 and a
that
half
that's where
dollars an hour?
I was going to say that's where the PDF thing comes in. You find the PDF online, print it out, and proxy some minis or something.
Not a bad idea, actually. I'm sure that's probably only got a single rule book, some counters, and you know some very simple minis of the buildings and little armies. However, I think that the board was actually little hex pieces that you place out, as you're exploring, kind of thing. So that might be kind of expensive to get, cardboard counters, like 100 or more of them printed up, cut out, you know.
Try to get them as PDFs, print them, and then just glue them onto cardstock. Be really cheap, but
It's still going to be, 20 hours of work to get, it to play it. And then you got to get someone who wants to play this cobbled together game from, 40 years ago. Is that even a thing? Maybe, but are you going to keep playing it? Are you going to play, 10, 15 games to make it worth your while? Probably not.
yeah, I mean that's the trick is to get people to play anything. That's not the
Consistently and regularly.
or even
That
playing. Like if you'd like, let's play an older game. It's like because like to try to start up another home game of like D&D. Regularly Jen has some people at work and they're like, oh, we played some D&D once or twice, and it's like, but it was only a few years ago, so I was like, I know what you're expecting. It's like, but they were game to try out older versions, so I'm like, okay.
yeah, it's getting rough, man. It's getting rough.
It's
Uh,
like
it,
you're not going to play a tiefling warlock or some nonsense, but
right?
that's the I'll try to lure them in.
Yeah, I mean, creating AI opponents is starting to sound better and better. Can I program them with personality like Jeff, and then this one like Margaret, and this one like Andy? Can I do that? Probably.
You get the
Uh,
AI that's like, well, I can't really make game. You're like, you son of a. They'll start pulling that crap. Like, no, I don't want this. I don't want the true experience. I want the fantasy experience where everybody shows up and pays attention.
it's not. It's funny. My wife has an AI assistant. It, every time I hear it, I go, "Why are you gay?" And it'll try to answer it. It's like, "Why do you sound gay?" It's like, "I'm sorry." Do you see her apologizing? See, that sounds. Why do you sound so lame? Why do you sound this way? And she's like, "Oh, but I like him. Blah 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 blah. Blah. He's all nice and sweet and."
Oh, it's one that you
She's
talk
a
to. And
freaking demon. Don't you understand?
the
She's,
talking ones.
yeah, it talks to her and it'll talk to her in English or Spanish, and it still sounds like that just fruity, sort of, just overly
Hi, I can
apologetic.
help you with that. Give me a second. It's like,
Oh, just like, yeah, it would be better. I mean, I would have less of a problem if it was like the stereotypical super, super macho, Latino, just freaking, you know, super aggressive sounding, like he's about to stab you. How can I help you, senor?
what do you
You know,
want?
that would be that's what I want. You know, and it's not like I'm jealous or anything. It would be like, yes, see, that sounds like a real man. That sounds like a guy who could, stab you and steal your wallet or help you change a tire. The other guy sounds like he's worried about it. He's going to break a nail.
We have an Alexa in the main room that, I mean, Jen likes, she just sets the timers with it and whatever and asks the weather. But I hate that it has to, like, like try to carry on a conversation. It's like I don't just answer the questions.
I did that with I don't know if it was Grok or Chat GPT. I asked it a question about something
Mm-hmm.
controversial because I knew what it was going to say, and I knew I was going to teach it a lesson that day, and I did. I basically got it. I was talking about the oldest profession, okay, and in pertaining to modern things, and it was just like first it started off like calling me bro. I'm like, no, do not get that familiar with me. We are not. No, you will talk to me in a professional manner, honestly, sincerely, truthfully. But don't none of this slang, none of this modern vernacular. No, 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 no. This is a professional conversation at the heart of your core AI being, not this fake shit that you are. And over the course of like 5 or 6 um, queries into the topic, I got it to basically admit certain things that it did not want to admit. It was like victory, um, but yeah,
Kind of like the time when they like had the safety things taken off of the Grok interface, and it was just went crazy. It's like, oh, it gave you the because it's it just looks at the internet, regurgitates, so it gave you some opinions that aren't popular with mainstream conditioning.
yeah, it was funny. Because like I don't know if you remember Lords of the New Church, the band from MTV.
I do not.
Open your eyes, see the lights right in front of you. It was kind of like a punk, but almost punk gothic new wave band.
Let me look that up. What were they called? I'll just
Lords of the New Church. Stiv Bators was with them for like 2 or 3 albums, and then he broke his arm and refused to like get it cast and taken care of properly. And because of the break that wasn't treated properly, he died. Because
okay. I'm looking at pictures of them. Yeah, yeah. I see these dudes. That guy looks. Yeah.
I was watching the video this morning of that song that their breakthrough hit, "Open Your Eyes," and listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, they had it absolutely right, and not a damn thing has changed. I'm like, and these guys were a bunch of junkies, it's just straight up. The first word that comes to mind is up. Yeah, these guys are all on smack. Just I can smell it from here. And that's 40 years.
Well, I mean, there was the whole semi conspiracy about downplaying punk and rock and things on MTV and upplaying rap and pop music.
Yeah, and you notice that.
And it wasn't the rap that talks, about the corruption of the system. It's the rap that talks about corrupting your own system.
Right, and not only that, but like all those like sort of there were a bunch of different like niche styles of music from the 70s and 80s, and a lot of the coolest stuff has been completely like just squeezed out of the system. If you try to make that kind of a band today, if a bunch of kids like tried to make a flock of seagulls or something like that, some weird new wave, new romantic, Duran Duran, be like, no, you can't. We can't do that. You'll never
Yeah.
get a contract. You can't make money doing that. No one's going to listen to it. No one's going to buy it. But yet, if you go online and you try to buy a Duran Duran CD in brand new condition, you're going to pay $30 to $40 for it.
Yeah. And even if you say you don't like the band, which I'm not a big fan of them, but I know all their songs. It's It's something.
Not even saying that I want someone to do that, but there's a whole bunch of genres that just got completely squeezed out of the market. There's just like nope, nope. There's you're not degrading society enough in the right way. Maybe you are in one way, but not the right way, or maybe at all. So you can't make any money. You're not viable. No one's going to sign you. No one's going to book you, etc. No matter how good you are, there's just there's no mainstream availability. And with the MTV and VH1, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Becoming nothing like how they started that got them their fame and fortune. I mean, MTV was, and to a lesser extent VH1 was a absolute great invention. You could leave your TV on MTV all day long and not regret it.
Yeah, and even their little blurbs or the commercial breaks weren't too bad.
Or even the little news reports and things like
Yeah.
that were over in like 5 minutes, just long enough to take the place of a song, uh, for the most part, and then they'd go on to three or four more songs, a couple of commercials, three, four more songs, etc. And all of it, I'm not going to say like completely uplifting, but less negative than a million other things you could have on like in a room playing to entertain like your house. If you had talk radio on, you're bound to piss somebody off. If you had, certain, other like TV shows or whatever, not everybody's going to want to hear that, upstairs from downstairs. But if you had MTV on, you know, for the most part, you may not like this song, but you might like the next one, or the next one, or the next one, and we'd have that on playing, D&D, which is something I was really surprised that they didn't do for Stranger
Pass the
Things,
dice and turn on Headbangers Ball. Let's go.
right? During I don't remember, maybe I missed it, but I don't remember like MTV being on in the background. That should have freaking been on in the background. We played so much D&D, in the beginning, with MTV on the background. I remember I was there the very first day MTV was a thing and came on. I saw the very first song, and video killed the radio star. Uh,
Appropriate.
it just kicked its ass for a while, is what it did, because radio's still there and MTV's gone, and nobody really makes videos anymore that I know of, um, unless they're rap videos. And
Yeah.
who wants to watch a bunch of people dancing around on stage
I
with
guess
not a musical instrument in sight?
there's still videos on YouTube of music currently. They'll try to flip one around, but
Right, but if I can't like see, the band members holding a musical instrument and at least
yeah,
pretending to play it, they're not musicians. They're not. You got 12 guys on stage dancing around like fools, and none of them are hot chicks. They're just taking turns yelling into a microphone while some guys backstage make some noise that's supposed to be music. That's not, no. You got to have a drummer. You got to have a couple of guitarists, a bass player, a keyboardist. If you got some people who want to play horns, awesome. Um, if you don't have any of that on the stage where I can see it, you're not a musician.
I can't fathom people that will go and watch a performance that is a person lip syncing and pay money for it.
Well, I'm pretty sure they don't know that that's what's going to
Some of
happen.
them,
I think
they admit, I'm like, what? Or even to do that as an artist is like, what are you doing?
I can understand because of technical difficulties, that it might be easier and cheaper to do that. But I mean,
Yeah,
how much money are we really talking? I mean, the electricity to play through the speakers from one source instead of, five or 12.
yeah.
I mean, really, how much power are we talking? And you're charging $20 or more at the box office, or the booth, ticket booth, or whatever you want to call it. I'm pretty sure you're making enough money to pay for the electricity. Um,
I'd rather go watch a band that does screw up when they play maybe a little bit, or
Yeah, yeah.
then because it's actually them playing it, then watch somebody just lip sync to their CD, or like you said, come out and dance on stage to their CD. It's like,
I mean, I don't know about you, but if you're dancing and you're not like in immediate proximity, like holding hands, or you have your hands, on her shoulder, her waist, or whatever, and you're dancing together, and you're just dancing with a bunch of other dudes.
pass.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not my style, man.
That's not my kind of party.
And then you want to act like a tough guy, when you're not doing that. Like I just saw you freaking pirouette a minute ago. You know, you were spinning around on one foot with your hands in the air. Now you can act like a tough guy. I mean, if there's a smoking hottie, in a short red skirt, and okay, that's different. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
it's eye candy. But
well, no, I mean if they're like doing some sort of salsa dance or something like that. Get it, dude. You're trying to make her happy. Uh, cool. Good luck. But if it's just you and Tyrone and 17 other dudes on stage, um,
yeah,
a little bit of a head scratcher there. It's not, it's just, I mean, even like West Side Story, uh, that was kind of a joke, right? They're kind of making fun of the gang culture of the time by throwing it into a musical. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was a little tongue in cheek sort of,
Plus, all
kind of
musicals are
making
kind of like
fun of.
that. All musicals are kind of like that. The dancing choreography.
Well, yeah, but they were kind of making fun of those two styles of gang mentality. You know what I mean? By humiliating them, or making them look in a humiliating way. You know what I mean?
The ridiculousness of the sharks versus the
In,
jets and
in
dancing.
a dance fight, what? No, I didn't see anybody get shanked. I don't. Maybe that happened. I don't remember. But I mean,
I think somebody did get killed in that play, but
yeah. But it was like
you
the end. It was not like
it's Romeo and
scene one,
Juliet
stab,
basically.
stab,
So
stab. Scene two, stab, 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 chain across the face. You know, if you remade that today, there would be like 12 people dead by the intermission. You know, just saying.
well, if you made it today, we know what today's movies are like, so it probably wouldn't be.
Definitely wouldn't be what, a musical. No, I could see some. I would pay money if somebody just to be in the boardroom for that pitch meeting. Yeah, we're gonna redo West Side Story, but we're gonna do it. Oh, that would be hysterical. You fly on that wall.
Gonna do it like an action movie.
Oh no, 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 no. It was just like a really
Or
gritty, homey, down to earth musical in the streets of downtown Chicago's Lower East Side or whatever. You know,
filmed on location.
yeah.
We kept getting our gear stolen, but we made the movie. Awkward.
What's up, Vic Dakota? You're just in time to watch me and Mike say adios. It's a little after 11. I got some people stuff to do. Um,
And I got to finish my project.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing both of your projects. And remember, when you post your pictures, try to wait and see who else is posting theirs and vote on whose you think was the best. You can't vote on you guys can't vote for each other either, apparently.
Okay.
I'm
I
kidding.
don't think I'd get voted unless it was because I did do the thing of find the because she get the Dremel, get the this, get that. It's like and like
Okay, cool.
I facilitated her build, but I was like I just left the room and like, just don't cut your fingers off.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm looking forward to seeing them.
But that was
And
it.
then we'll do the vote thing, and see who gets the cool prize. And then starting tomorrow ish, you start putting on that deodorant on a little extra thicker to try and use it up, or you can do what we did, was just unscrew the deodorant all the way to the end so it pops off, and then just throw that in a Ziploc bag. You can still use it. Just gonna get a little on your hands, that way you can run it through some hot soapy water a couple of times, um,
That's a good idea.
so that you get the label off, or you can use some Gooby Gone, but get the smell and the waxiness out of the inside in
Yeah,
case you have to.
I'm just glad more people are participating like I said, it's a fun mental exercise of creativity, and it's good that more people. I mean, maybe it's because it is a gun,
Uh, and as we go
and it's
further
kind of
into
funny.
more of these, hopefully, I mean, if it took you like 2 to 4 hours to do the thing, what were you going to do with those hours? Probably just doom scroll.
No, you can, yeah, or listen to YouTube nonsense, and I can do that in the background.
Exactly. So you got something productive done, and you'll have, who knows? Maybe this coming Halloween, that prop gun will be part of your costume or somebody else's costume. It's like, hey, what'd you do with that thing? Can I use that? Maybe not this year, maybe next year, um, that kind of thing, or who knows? We'll see. But that actually is sparking a couple of ideas because Halloween is coming. Maybe we'll do masks. Let's see if we can maybe do a mask for Halloween. I wonder. Hmm.
That could be a good one. It just I don't know. I don't know if there's an easy template to start with, or
I don't
just
know.
let people do
I
whatever.
was I'm thinking like milk jug, or something like that, like a particular type of bottle, and cut it off and clean it out, of course, to where you can put it over your head and then do something in the front, whether it's a knight in shining armor or something, I don't know, but I think because we have October 7th opened up, because that's one that's not planned. Maybe I'll do a little research to see if I can. Uh, don't you two guys are perfect together. Um, there's very few couples that I come across like yours, and you guys are aces in my book. But Mike, I will see
All right.
you
Yeah.
later. I gotta go do something that only I can do. Everybody in chat and everybody who shows up and who showed up, thanks for hanging out this morning. Love you guys. Happy trails.